In this video, let's talk Chiefs versus Broncos and look at some of the main takeaways from this game, specifically on the offensive side of the ball, and talk about the fact that even though this was a borderline embarrassing yet hard-fought win that should have never been close, there's still a lot of positives to take away from this game. So let's talk about it. But first, how about those? What's up, guys? My name is Cole, and I do daily news about the Kansas City Chiefs. So make sure to sub if you're new, hit that like button, all that good stuff. And let's get into this video, starting with this. I just got this shirt in today. Freaking Isaiah Pacheco. We got this shirt done up, and I got a test print ordered, and it's up on the store, public. You guys can buy it if you want to support the channel and get you a nice shirt. It probably will not ship out before Christmas, but it is a cool gift you could get somebody because we're going to talk about Pacheco later in this video, and I found it fitting to get a shirt made and done up of the man himself. Anyway, enough of the promo. Let's talk Chiefs versus Broncos. There's so much to talk about that this is actually going to be a two-part video. I'm going to focus mainly on the positives on the offensive side of the ball. Then we'll get into the not so positives and the defensive side of the ball in tomorrow's video. But for now, let's start off with positives, because even though this game was a stressful, borderline discouraging, almost unsatisfactory W, it is still a win, so we have to celebrate that and talk about it. Patrick Mahomes now has 15 straight divisional wins on the road and is now 10-0 against the Broncos, officially remaining their majority owner. That's freaking nuts, if you ask me. And with that win, the Chiefs are now 10-3, which marks Coach Reid's 9th season here in KC with at least 10 wins on the season since arriving in 2013. And I do not think we should take that stat lightly. What Andy Reid has done since coming here to Kansas City has been nothing short of amazing, and we are certainly living in the best era as Chiefs fans, especially since they drafted Patrick Mahomes in 2017. Anyway, more good news is this. According to Coach Reid, the team came out of the game against the Broncos relatively healthy, meaning I don't think there are any new injuries. But again, he doesn't confirm in this presser, said he has to talk with the doc, Rick Burkholder, and he'll get back with us soon, meaning we're going to see it on the injury report, hopefully Wednesday. On the subject of injuries, though, I know Russell Wilson was not on planet Earth for about 10 seconds in Sunday's game after slamming his head into the ground. It was a scary sight to see. You never, ever want to see that. I hope he heals up quick. I know he's cringy and basically at this point is a walking meme, but he's a human being. And at the end of the day, these guys are just people. Professional athletes, yes, but just people, man. So you never want to see somebody go down like that, and I hope he gets well soon. From here, let's talk offense. Let's talk positive takeaways. We will talk a little negative here at first, and then we'll spin it positive, focusing more of the negatives in tomorrow's video. Patrick Mahomes, let's start here. He had some amazing plays, the highest of highs, and some not so amazing plays, the lowest of lows. So let's start with those first. As you all know, he threw 3 interceptions in this game, which was pretty uncharacteristic of him to do. A couple of those were a bit ugly on the surface, yet Jewel and Surtain both made nice plays. Mahomes acknowledged that he knows he needs to do better and that he was heated about all of this, all of his mistakes on the sideline.
Just 3 bad decisions. Luckily for me, the rest of the team stepped up. Defense made a lot of stops in critical moments. I mean, I promise you, I'm knowing I'm messing up. Like when I go to the sideline, I'm hot. And those coaches come to me and they say, like, they understand I know, but they still let me know, like, what I can get better at. I just can't put our team in that situation. And luckily we got the win, but you don't win a lot of games when you have 3 interceptions.
So yeah, Mahomes made some bad plays and put extra strain on the Chiefs defense, but thankfully it's a team sport, to which Mahomes acknowledged after the game when he said, "Appreciate my team, man. They picked me up today. Chiefs Kingdom." To which safety Justin Reid had his itchy little Twitter fingers ready and very nicely responded, "We will always have your back, King. Greatest team sport in the world." And a very quick detour on Justin Reid. Over the last 3 weeks, he's had 117 coverage snaps and was only targeted 3 times, allowing 0 receptions, and had 1 pass breakup and an NFL passer rating allowed against him of 39.6. So I know he's faced a lot of scrutiny lately because of his tweets before and after the Bengals game, but at least from a coverage standpoint over the past few games, he's been playing pretty well. Anyway, back to Patrick. I know he didn't play his best game, but he still put up 3 TDs, 3 interceptions, I know, but 352 yards and average 8.4 yards per completion against one of the best defenses in the entire NFL. And I believe that This is the first QB the Broncos have allowed to throw over 300 yards on them all season long, so tip of the cap to that, and also to the fact that after this game, Mahomes has now officially topped 4,000 passing yards for the season, marking his 4th season with 4,000 plus yards and 30 plus TDs. He's the only player with 4 such seasons since 2018, and he's one of the only 2 players to do it 3 or more times. So Mahomes continues to break records and continued to add to his highlight reel against the Broncos, like the left-handed pass with Von Miller wrapped around his ankles, I think back in 2018. This one's different. This was a crazy no-look, hook shot, sidearm flick thing to running back Jerick McKinnon, in which he took it to the house. That was a wild one indeed, and I definitely lost my mind calling it live during that play, while Brandon Perna of That's Good Sports did not like that play so much. In fact, our reactions are so polar opposite that it makes for a glorious compilation. All right, Mahomes steps back and surveys. He's going to get flushed from the pocket.
Mahomes scrambling.
And he is going to toss it up to Jerick McKinnon.
Oh, and he just throws it away. It's caught.
30, 20, 10. Touchdown!
It's a touchdown.
Let's go!
Are you kidding me?
Oh my God!
Oh my God.
I won't lie, this video made me laugh over and over and over again when watching it, especially the part when I screamed touchdown, and his own response was very different about the touchdown. I digress about that, but I hope you enjoyed it because I know I did. Patrick Mahomes, back to him. He's just unreal at times and breaks every rule in the book to make things happen for big plays.
Yeah, that wasn't quite like it was drawn up.
I was committed to running, and then I saw I was probably going to get hit like I did last week in Cincinnati, so I just kind of flicked it. I was just trying to get it to him whatever way possible, and I kind of just flicked it, and he made a great play after. Guys made some blocks downfield, and he scored a touchdown. So
he peeped at me, but I wasn't sure what he was going to do with it, so I kind of was just waiting to see what happened, and he got it out there. It gave me time to get to it.
So yeah, it was a crazy play, and overall, running back Jerick McKinnon had an absolutely crazy day, catching 7 passes for 112 yards and scoring 2 touchdowns. He also had 6 carries on the ground for 22 yards, including a couple of nice runs near the end of the game in particular. And at the end of the day, Jerick McKinnon recorded 134 scrimmage yards against the Broncos, marking the 4th best regular season total of his career and his best mark since 2017. He's also one of only 3 running backs to tally 130 plus scrimmage yards and 2 plus receiving touchdowns in a single game this season. I also want to add, we'll just keep going, he's averaging 6.4 yards per touch, is second on the team in yards after catch, yakety yak, with 402 on 38 receptions, and only tight end Travis Kelce has more yards after the catch, 514 on 43 more receptions, 81. So absolutely incredible for Jerick McKinnon. I made a video on McKinnon a few weeks ago explaining why he's the best running back on the team, and it's not close. It's mainly because based on the Chiefs' offensive scheme, Jerick McKinnon is perfect, man. I made a post today on Twitter saying, I wish McKinnon was 24 years old so we could have him combined with Isaiah Pacheco for years to come as an amazing 1-2 punch duo. But he is 30 years old, and that's getting a little bit up there for running backs.
He's like a dinosaur at that position. You're playing 9 years in the National Football League as a running back. Those are dog years. So from a playing standpoint, there's nothing that he can't do. He does everything so well.
So yeah, McKinnon is a dog. Great in pass blocking, catching out of the backfield, and he can run the ball. Now, while he can run the ball, someone who can run the ball probably better so far, and he hasn't even hit his ceiling yet, would be 7th round rookie Isaiah Pacheco. He had a great game as well. Got to talk about him for a moment here. This is his 5th straight game with 80 plus scrimmage yards, although for whatever reason, he had the least amount of rushing attempts, 13, that he's seen since week 9 against the Titans. And that's definitely an interesting thing to note here in this game because the Chiefs were up by 27 points, and you think they would run the ball a wee bit more, or at least emphasize it a bit more, especially when Pacheco was averaging 5.4 yards a carry. But Andy Reid's answer to that in his presser is that they were trying to mix things up, keep Denver guessing, and they wanted to put their foot on the pedal and keep it going. I don't know. I think Andy Reid just does not like to run the ball, and I feel like that came back to bite them at the end of the day because when you are running the ball, you can't throw interceptions. Another positive, though, I saw on offense was the Mahomes to JuJu connection. It keeps getting better and better, guys. They connected on more than one scramble drill, including the circus play in the red zone, rather, where Mahomes like ran around in a circle. Like, where do I go? What do I do? And then he zipped it to JuJu in the back of the end zone for a touchdown. That was JuJu's first touchdown in 4 games, by the way. And get this, JuJu Smith-Schuster only needs 238 receiving yards over the next 4 games to break 1,000 yards for the second time in his career. And what's crazy about this is he has missed out on a few games here. Well, most of the game against the Jags because of the concussion he sustained, I believe in the first quarter. Then he missed the entire next game. Then he was on a snap count against the Rams. So in spite of all of that, wide receiver 1, who I talked about at the beginning of the season, he was going to be wide receiver 1, aside from Travis Kelce. He's still probably going to get close to 1,000 yards, if not break it. And I do hope he does. And then I hope he stays here for years to come. And since we're on the subject of receivers, let's talk about MVS, Marquez Valdez-Scantling. He had 3 targets for 1 reception. And yeah, at least one of them was a tough drop on a bullet from Mahomes. Another one was basically not catchable. Mahomes was hit as he threw it. But either way, 3 targets, 1 reception, and that 1 reception was clutch. It was a 3rd and 11 with about 4 minutes left in the fourth quarter with the game on the line, and it went for 20 yards. First down, Kansas City, helping move the chains and keep the drive going. And honestly, he's been doing crazy stuff like that on 3rd downs pretty consistently. For example, just last week in the game against the Bengals, MVS caught a 42-yarder on a 3rd and 7 and a 29-yarder on a 3rd and 10. I think it was on the same exact drive. And some people have been giving MVS a hard time about his lack of overall targets, but I did a video on that explaining why, at least in some of these games. But in spite of all that, did you know that MVS is currently about to have his best season as far as yards are concerned? He had 690 yards receiving back in 2020 with the Packers, but already has 606 yards this season. The only real difference is back in 2020, he had 6 touchdowns and only has 1 this season, but still, I think MVS is doing pretty much exactly what he was brought in to do, and aside from some tough drops, he's playing relatively well, all things considered. From here, I want to talk briefly about the Chiefs' offensive line against the Broncos, then we will move on to Travis the GOAT Kelce. But first, O-line, here we go. Orlando Brown Jr. had the highest pass blocking grade among all tackles in the NFL last week, and no, I'm not joking, you heard that right. He was also the second highest graded overall among all offensive players in Week 14, and the only player that was graded higher than Orlando Brown Jr. overall on offense was another Chief, the left guard, Joe Thuney. Thuney gave up no pressures, no hurries, nothing. So welcome back, and I'm glad your ankle is better because you were sorely missed. Let me tell you what. And then Orlando Brown Jr., he only gave up 1 hurry, 1 pressure, a pretty great game for him overall. And honestly, Orlando Brown Jr. has had 4 pretty decent games of the last 5. We all know he struggled against the Bengals. Trust me, we all know that. But the 3 games prior to that, he only gave up 5 total pressures and 0 sacks, and then had another good game against the Broncos. I'm going to do a separate video about Orlando in a different video. Don't have time for it right now because there's a lot to unpack with him. He struggled mightily early on, battled injury, and yeah, he's given up the most pressures of any other tackle in the NFL so far. The rest of the O-line, back to the Broncos game, looked as follows. Andrew Wiley, he allowed 2 hurries, 2 pressures. Creed Humphrey allowed 1 hurry and a pressure, and then Trey Smith allowed a sack, 2 hurries, and 3 pressures. So in this game, at least, Trey Smith seemed to be the man to struggle a bit more, at least when you compare him to the rest in protecting Mahomes. But enough of that. Let's talk Travis Kelce. He did have a couple of tough drops on back-to-back targets that went his way, but he had a couple of other nice catches, with one early on going for 37 yards, and ended the night with 4 receptions for 71 yards. And that total was enough to put him over 10,000 career receiving yards. That's right. He's the 5th tight end in history to reach 10,000 receiving yards and the fastest to ever get there. And he has officially reached over 1,000 yards on the season, making this his 7th consecutive season of at least 1,000 yards receiving. And that's now more than twice as long as any other streak for a tight end in NFL history. So there you have it. Travis Kelce being Travis Kelce, one of the greatest to ever grace the field of football. And us As Chiefs fans, we are literally watching it all happen in real time before our eyes. Years are going to pass. We're going to look back and be like, we got to watch Travis Kelce every single Sunday. How incredible is that? You guys got to let me know your thoughts on all of this. Hopefully this video, after sharing all of this stuff, helped ease your minds a little bit. I know the loss was, not encouraging, to say the least. I definitely left that game, or left calling that game on my live stream like, dude, what was that? But when I dove back into the game and really thought about it and chewed on some of the stats, there's a lot of positives to take away from this game. Mahomes, 10-0 against the Broncos, 15 straight road wins. Chiefs are now 10-3, and they're still pursuing greatness, about to win the West and make another postseason run. A lot of positives here, although in tomorrow's video, we'll look at some of the things that were not so positive. So let me know your thoughts in the comments down below, and until next time, let's go. Let's freaking go. How about those?